Fooling Some of the People All of the Time, a Long Short Story, is a gripping account by David Einhorn, a prominent hedge fund manager, detailing his extensive battle against the company Allied Capital and the broader implications for the practices of Wall Street. In this book, Einhorn chronicles his investigative journey as he uncovers fraud and misconduct, questioning the efficacy of market regulation. Here's our pick of the top 10 insights from the book. 1. Short selling is not just betting against a stock, it's a way of uncovering corporate malfeasance. Short selling often gets a rap as the playground of the Wall Street villain, the financial equivalent of raining on your sunny picnic. But take a closer look through David Einhorn's lens, and you'll see it's less about throwing shade and more like a detective putting on his best Sherlock Holmes cap and magnifying the nitty-gritty of a company's ledger. When Einhorn shorts a stock, he's not just hoping for the company's stock to take a nosedive. No, he's meticulously sifting through the financial fluff to spotlight the sometimes less than stellar corporate escapades. It's investigative finance, really, swooping into the tangled weeds of balance sheets to expose the accounting shenanigans before they spiral into a full-blown corporate Enron spectacle. Short selling, in the hands of a pro like Einhorn, is akin to financial journalism that puts a check on corporate wrongdoings, one short report at a time. And who said finance can't have a caped crusader? 2. Thorough analysis and skepticism can unearth financial discrepancies that most investors and regulators overlook. Skepticism, the trusty flashlight in the foggy graveyard of finance. Einhorn's magnum opus is akin to a gripping treasure hunt where X marks the spot of financial shenanigans. As investors, we're often dazzled by glossy annual reports and charismatic CEOs, but Einhorn's wisdom is to don the spectacles of suspicion and dig like a caffeinated gopher into those numbers. Thorough analysis isn't just crunching numbers, it's forensic accounting meets CSI Wall Street. By questioning the chorus of everything is awesome, the astute investor might just notice that some of those high-flying companies are actually inflating their financial balloons with hot air. So grab your ledger and magnifying glass, and remember, if it looks like a duck and quacks like a Ponzi, it might just be time to short. 3. Persistent investigation can reveal the truth, but it often invites aggressive pushback from the targeted company. Imagine you're a financial detective, magnifying glass in hand, sifting through a company's facade like you're searching for Waldo in a sea of lies. This is where our protagonist, David Einhorn, delves deep into the corporate jungle, armed with nothing but tenacity and spreadsheets. As he uncovers the raw truth of financial shenanigans, the targeted company transforms into a cornered cat, claws out, ready to swipe at his credibility. It's a high-stakes game of cat and mouse, where persistence is your best weapon, and the cheese at the end is the sweet victory of truth. Just remember, when you poke at corporate beehives, don't be surprised if the bees aren't just mad, they're CFO mad. 4. The concept of short and distort is a myth. Actual cases are about diligent research and revealing hard truths. Imagine a world where shouting wolf gets you more than just a few annoyed glances. In the stock market jungle, Einhorn debunks the mythological beast known as short and distort, the idea that dastardly investors yell about non-existent company flaws just to tank a stock. In reality, this supposed Bigfoot of finance is rarely spotted because shorts are more Sherlock than Shylock. Einhorn shines a light on the fact that thorough investigation often leads to the revelation of fiscal fiascos, and it's those hard truths, not fairy tales, that can make a stock plummet faster than a clumsy acrobat. Consider this a reality check signed by the hand of diligent research. 5. The legal and regulatory framework may fail to protect investors against companies that engage in accounting fraud. Ah, the sweet scent of freshly printed balance sheets and the bitter aftertaste of deception. Despite a labyrinth of laws and a swarm of suited regulators, some corporate tricksters still slip through the cracks. You'd think a rulebook thicker than a triple-decker sandwich would suffice. But nope. In David Einhorn's financial thriller, the plot twist is that the watchdogs sometimes nap on the job. And when they snooze, investors lose. It's a cautionary tale, reminding us that the financial jungle is not always a fair fight, even when it's refereed. So investors, don your detective hats. Sometimes you've got to spot the con before your pocket is the one that's picked. 6. The media can be manipulated by companies to discredit critics, including short sellers, rather than addressing the criticism. In the grand theater of financial markets, companies are like master illusionists, adept at the art of distraction. When short sellers sniff out the not-so-rosy reality behind the corporate curtains, companies often turn to their trusty sidekick, the media. Einhorn's tome reveals how these companies weave a narrative spell, painting pesky critics as the financial world's boogeymen. Rather than facing the music and waltzing to the tune of transparency, they dance a misleading tango with the press. It's a performance worthy of an Oscar, where the protagonist, the company, defends its honor against the villainous short seller, all while sidestepping the pesky truth. Curtain call, anyone? 7. Financial markets are not always efficient, and prices can remain wrong for a very long time. Ah, the enigma of market efficiency, where wisdom and foolishness dance in a masquerade of numbers. David Einhorn's gem of an insight twinkles with truth. Markets, those wild beasts, can snooze on the job. You'd think with all the smart suits and fancy algorithms, prices would be sharp as a tack. But no, sometimes they're as off-key as a tipsy karaoke singer belting out, "I will always love you" at the company party. The market can cling to its misguided numbers like a stubborn cat to its favorite sunbeam, refusing to budge despite clear daylight. It's a reminder to investors, bring a flashlight, because you might be wandering in the dark longer than you'd expect. And remember, donning a pair of eagle-eyed spectacles might just help you spot the mispriced gems before the market finally wakes up and smells the coffee. 8. Ethical investing requires a moral compass as well as analytical skills to discern right from wrong in corporate behavior. Navigating the murky waters of the stock market, David Einhorn reminds us that ethical investing isn't just about crunching numbers and predicting trends, it's about having a moral GPS. You see, when the corporate world dons its gray suit of ambiguity, analyzing balance sheets and quarterly reports isn't enough. Investors must also shine a light on the dark corners of corporate conduct, discerning the Enrons from the apples. In the end, it's about being the Sherlock of Wall Street, where your magnifying glass checks for both financial acuity and ethical integrity, because at the close of the market, your portfolio reflects not just your wealth, but your values. And honestly, who wants to be the Richie Rich of Skullduggery Lane? 9. Even when the evidence is overwhelming, the authorities may be slow to act against fraudulent companies. Imagine trudging through a blizzard of evidence against a corporate swindler armed to the teeth with facts and figures, only to have the referees, the authorities, still sipping coffee with a blank stare. Mind-boggling, isn't it? In Einhorn's financial thriller, he adeptly points out that the gears of justice grind at a pace that would be outrun by a lethargic tortoise on a leisurely stroll. When the watchdogs seem to be napping rather than snapping, it's a stark reminder. Sometimes you have to sound the alarm louder and maybe throw in a bone to get their attention. Because even amidst a chorus of alarms, the status quo siesta can be one tough nap to interrupt. 10. A thorough understanding of accounting and finance is a powerful tool to challenge deceptive corporate narratives. Imagine yourself as a financial Sherlock Holmes, where every balance sheet is a crime scene and every cash flow statement could hide a secret passage. That's what David Einhorn suggests with gleeful detective like zeal. Your accounting acumen is like a magnifying glass for spotting corporate fibs dressed up in fancy fiscal drag. Einhorn played financial whack-a-mole with corporate tricksters, using his accounting savvy to smack down their deceptive tales, one inflated asset at a time. It's a stark reminder that in the grand casino of Wall Street, the house might try to cheat, but if you know the numbers, you can call their bluff and maybe even cash in on their sneaky deeds. To sum it up, Fooling Some of the People All of the Time, a long short story by David Einhorn, advocates for the critical role of short selling in exposing corporate fraud, emphasizing the need for in-depth financial literacy and ethical fortitude to combat market inefficiencies and deceptive practices. Despite facing myriad challenges, true diligence can eventually bring the reality of financial misconduct to light, although systemic changes are necessary to better protect investors and the integrity of financial markets. Thanks for watching, and we hope you found our insights enlightening.